From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub podcast. And now, and CISO, James Azar.
All right, folks, good morning. Happy Monday. I hope you had an enjoyable weekend. Welcome to December 7th, 2020, today's Practitioner Brief. A few things to talk about, but before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to our podcast right now. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification bell to get notified every time we post a brand new episode. If you're listening on your favorite podcast listening platform, make sure to subscribe right now as well. A few things. You can find our entire Practitioner Brief on our website at cyberhubpodcast.com. Our website will be going through a bunch of upgrades this month, so we're very, very excited about that. You'll see a lot of new things coming on the site, a lot of new information and feeds and so forth, and some really great partnerships that we'll be announcing very soon as well. So make sure you tune in to that. Let's get right into today's Practitioner Brief. I don't know about you guys, this weekend felt a little off. And what I mean by off is a few weeks before Christmas, half of the country's locked down, the other half is open. Speaking of friends in different parts of the country over the weekend, not a lot of Christmas shopping going on, or you can Christmas shop, but you can't gather with the people who you want to give Christmas presents to, a bunch of stuff like that. And we're in the midst of a very, very challenging time, although hope seems to be very near. Vaccines are out, should be, this week. The Pfizer vaccine should get approved by the FDA. I think that's tomorrow, day after tomorrow. And according to HHS Secretary Azar, it'll be ready to roll on Friday or Saturday. They've already got a rollout plan ready to go so people can start to get vaccinated and so forth. And so we should start to see a little bit, we should hopefully start to see things loosen up just a little bit. But let's get right into some cyber news today, where VMware rolls a fix for a formerly critical zero-day bug. A high-severity Chrome bug allows browser hacks, and a busy week that the state of Israel has had in multiple cyber attacks. VMware has issued a full patch and revised the severity level of the NSA-reported vulnerability to important. VMware did patch the zero-day bug that was disclosed in late November, an escalation of privilege flaw that impacts Workspace ONE on and other platforms for both Windows and Linux operating systems. VMware has also revised the CVSS severity rating for the bug to important down from critical. CISA had originally flagged the unpatched security vulnerability on the 23rd of November, which reflects 12 VMware versions across its cloud foundation. Tracked as CVE 2020-4006, the bug allows command injection according to the company advisory. While the bug was originally given a 9.1 out of 10 on the CVSS severity scales, further investigation showed that the attacker would need the password mentioned in the update, making it harder to exploit effectively. Its rating is now 7.2, making it important rather than critical. Again, these alerts come out. Sometimes we don't have all the information. Information does come later, but this has been taken care of, so make sure you do update your VMware systems. A Chrome bug does allow for browser hacks. Desktop versions of the browser received a total of 8 fixes, half rated as high severity. Google has updated its Chrome web browser, fixing 4 bugs with a severity rating of high and 8 overall. 3 are used after free flaws, which could allow an adversary to generate an error in the browser's memory, opening the door to a browser hack and host computer compromise. On Friday, CISA issued a security bulletin urging users and InfoSec administrators to apply the update. The agency warned that the vulnerabilities can be used to attack and take control of an affected system. The 3 severity bugs each include use after free elements impacting memory tied to Chrome's clipboard, media, and extensions components. The bugs are tracked as CVE 2020-16037, CVE 2020-16038, and 16039er. The 4th high severity bug, CVE 2020-16040, impacts Google's open source and high performance JavaScript and WebAssembly engine called V8, not the juice, but Google's version of that. This has been patched, and Google is urging everyone to please update your Chrome browsers to take care of this as well. Google acknowledged several security researchers that contributed to identifying the bugs. Roya Tusasaki also thanked for findings they use after FreeBug in the Chrome clipboard, which earned the researcher a $5,000 bug bounty. Khalil Zani, Lucas Pinheiro, Sergey Galaznov, Andre Bargol, and Mark Brand were also credited for their bug hunting efforts. And now let's move to a different story. Israel has been experiencing a rash of cyber attacks over the last week that have paralyzed the nation of 9 million, not in terms of in front of it, but simply the way the media and the way the entire country has reacted. The first one is insurance giant Sherbet in Israel was held ransom a week ago by cyber terrorists that asked for 50 bitcoins, doubled the ransom request, which now stands at over 200 bitcoins, nearly $4 million. Here's the thing, though. The weird aspect of this entire ransomware attack from the moment it started last week was the cyber criminals started leaking stuff almost immediately, including the communication between the parties, which is typically done discreetly. As many in the Infosec industry know, the first idea of a ransomware, the first part of the ransomware is done very, very discreetly. You don't really go public on your victim just quite right away. Sherbet, who's one of Israel's largest insurance company, also does insure the government and several offices within the government, has had the data leak so far, and with the criminals releasing Israeli citizens' ID cards, credit card information, policy and claim information. The Israeli INCD, which leads the nation's cyber effort, was deployed to help, and they've not commented much on the matter outside of to say that it is being handled. In one report I saw, Clear Sky says that it is likely that the criminals were able to get access through the Pulse VPN vulnerability within the Sherbet infrastructure that was not updated or patched. This is huge simply because of also the media attention around this. I mean, the fact is people have regurgitated this over and over and over again. Israel, obviously, as a country with a lot of cyber knowledge and a lot of cyber experience, has had experts on TV and radio and podcasts and everywhere talking about this, which has not made life easy for the folks over at Sherbet to handle this specific situation. Furthermore, Iranian state hackers hacked the Israeli Water Authority and a reservoir used by the water system. This also happened last week. Although the reservoir had no real impact, I mean, outside of them really accessing what was essentially a dashboard that didn't have the right authentication, and they really did nothing with it. But nonetheless, they said, haha, we can hack your water system. This is according to the unidentified team that appears to be of Iranian origin. Now, all of this comes over the last 2 weeks. We saw the killing of Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, the father of the nuclear bomb in Iran, which was alleged to be killed by the Mossad and the US CIA, although they seem to be blaming the Mossad a little bit more than the big devil. They're blaming the little devil in Iran for that. And these attacks on Israel are starting to seem a bit more curious. But for me as a CISA, one of the things in looking at this was, one, we really haven't learned much about the idea that when a company is going through a cyber attack, we as a community have to come through and really support the people within the organizations and the vendors helping, simply because, folks, at the end of the day, if it happened to them, it can happen to any of us, and we know how we would like to be treated if we go through that specific scenario as well. I'm not going to go into how, why, and the so forth of this, just to say that we know better as a community, and we ought to really just understand that it's not if, it's when, because that's what we always say. It's not if, it's when. Well, then when the when happens, it's on us to lead the way with the way we deal with the situation, meaning not falling into the traps that specific folks within the media would like to have. That's it for our Practitioner Brief here today, folks. I'll be back with more tomorrow. Until then, stay tuned, subscribe, and stay cyber safe.
We love feedback. Connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.